You know that feeling when you're constantly checking your phone, jumping between tasks, and can't seem to focus on just one thing? Yeah, that's overstimulation. And trust me, it's doing more damage than you might think. In this video, we're diving into what overstimulation really is, how it's sneaking into your life, and why it's absolutely wrecking your focus, happiness, and even your future. So, first things first. What exactly is overstimulation? Think of it like this. Your brain is like a computer, and just like a computer, it can only handle so much at once. Overstimulation happens when you're constantly bombarded with information, notifications, sounds, and visuals, way more than your brain is designed to process at a given moment. It's like having 50 tabs open on your browser, all playing videos at the same time while you're trying to write an essay. At first, you might think you can handle it, but eventually, your computer, your brain, starts to lag, slow down, and eventually crash. That's overstimulation, and it's become a huge problem, especially for our generation. So, where does this overstimulation come from? Well, pretty much everywhere. We live in a world where everything is constantly competing for our attention: our phones, social media, video games, streaming services, schoolwork, social lives. The list goes on. And while having access to all this stuff can be awesome, it also means our brains are working overtime just to keep up. Let's talk about social media for a second. How many times have you found yourself mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, not because you're really interested, but just because it's there? Social media is one of the biggest causes of overstimulation. Every time you swipe, you're hit with new images, videos, likes, comments, each one giving your brain a tiny hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. It's like a slot machine, and every swipe is another pull of the lever, hoping for a little rush. But here's the thing. The more you scroll, the more your brain gets used to that constant stream of new information. Over time, this can make it harder to focus on anything that doesn't provide instant gratification. Ever tried reading a book after an hour on TikTok? It feels like torture, right? And that's overstimulation in action. Your brain has been trained to crave constant newness, and it struggles with anything that requires sustained attention. Another big player in the overstimulation game is multitasking. We're constantly told that multitasking is a good thing, that it's a sign of being productive and efficient. But here's the harsh truth. Multitasking is a myth. You're not really doing multiple things at once. You're just switching between tasks really quickly, and that's exhausting for your brain. Picture this. You're trying to study for a test, but at the same time, you're texting your friend, listening to music, and keeping an eye on your social media. It feels like you're getting a lot done, but in reality, your brain is burning out from all the switching back and forth. It's like trying to juggle 5 balls at once. Eventually, you're going to drop one, or all of them. And let's not forget about entertainment. With Netflix, YouTube, and video games at our fingertips, there's never a moment of boredom anymore. We're constantly plugged into something. But all this non-stop entertainment is overstimulating too. It's training our brains to expect constant excitement, making it harder to enjoy the slower, quieter moments in life. Have you ever noticed that you can't sit still without reaching for your phone, or that you need to have something playing in the background, even when you're not really watching or listening? That's because your brain has gotten so used to being entertained that it doesn't know how to just be. And that's a problem. So, now that we know what overstimulation is and where it comes from, let's talk about the impact it has on your life. Let's talk attention span. Or should I say, the lack of it. Overstimulation makes it incredibly hard to focus on anything for more than a few minutes. You might have noticed this when you're trying to study or do homework. Suddenly, everything seems more interesting than the task at hand. You check your phone, you get up to grab a snack, you start thinking about what you're going to do later. It's like your brain is constantly looking for an escape. This happens because your brain has been conditioned by all the fast-paced, ever-changing stimuli to expect constant novelty. When you try to focus on something that doesn't provide that like reading a textbook or writing an essay, it's like hitting a wall. Your brain gets bored, frustrated, and starts craving that next hit of stimulation. And here's the kicker. This reduced attention span isn't just annoying, it's actually holding you back. It's making it harder to learn new things, to perform well in school or work, and even to enjoy the things you used to love, like reading a book or having a deep conversation. Another major downside of overstimulation is the toll it takes on your mental health. When your brain is constantly in overdrive, it's no wonder you start feeling anxious and stressed out. Imagine your brain as a car engine that's always revving at full speed. Eventually, it's going to overheat. Overstimulation keeps your brain in a state of constant alertness. You're always on, always processing, always reacting. This can lead to what's known as brain fatigue, where you're mentally and emotionally exhausted but can't seem to switch off. And this constant state of overstimulation can contribute to anxiety and stress, making it harder to relax and enjoy life. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt calm? When was the last time you sat in silence without feeling the need to fill it with something? Music, a video, a text. This constant need to be on is stressing you out, whether you realize it or not. Sleep is another area where overstimulation acts. If you're like most people, your phone is probably the last thing you see before you go to bed, and the first thing you check when you wake up. But all that screen time, especially before bed, is messing with your sleep. Here's why. The blue light emitted by screens interferes with your body's natural sleep-wake cycle by suppressing the production of melatonin, the hormone that makes you feel sleepy. So when you're scrolling through Instagram or watching YouTube videos late at night, you're actually tricking your brain into thinking it's still daytime, making it harder to fall asleep. But it's not just the blue light, it's the mental stimulation too. Watching an intense show, playing a fast-paced game, or even just reading through a bunch of notifications can keep your mind racing long after you've turned off your device. And when your mind is racing, falling asleep becomes a real challenge. One of the more surprising effects of overstimulation is how it suppresses creativity. When your brain is constantly bombarded with information, there's little room left for imagination and creative thinking. Creativity often thrives in moments of quiet and boredom, those times when your mind is free to wander and make new connections. But when you're overstimulated, your brain doesn't get those quiet moments. It's too busy processing all the incoming data to come up with new ideas or solve problems creatively. This is why you might find it harder to be creative or think outside the box when you're constantly plugged into your devices. Remember when you were a kid and you could spend hours daydreaming or making up stories? Those moments were filled with creativity because your brain wasn't overloaded with external stimuli. As we grow older and become more connected, those moments of pure imagination become rarer, and overstimulation is a big part of the reason why. All right, now that we know how overstimulation is messing with us, let's talk about what we can do to fight back. It's not all doom and gloom. There are ways to reduce overstimulation and take back control of our minds. The first step in combating overstimulation is setting some boundaries with your devices. This means creating specific times when you're not glued to your phone or computer. For example, you could set a rule to put your phone away an hour before bed, or limit your social media use to certain times of the day. It might feel weird at first, like you're missing out on something. But trust me, your brain will thank you. Setting these boundaries gives your mind a chance to rest and reset, which is crucial for maintaining your mental health and focus. Mindfulness is all about being present in the moment, and it's a great way to counteract overstimulation. When you're mindful, you're fully engaged with whatever you're doing, whether it's eating, walking, or even just breathing. This helps train your brain to focus on one thing at a time, rather than constantly jumping from one thing to the next. This might sound counterintuitive, but embracing boredom is actually a powerful way to combat overstimulation. When you allow yourself to be bored, you're giving your brain a break from the constant barrage of information. This downtime is when your mind can wander, daydream, and even come up with creative ideas. Next time you feel the urge to reach for your phone during a lull, resist it. Instead, let yourself be bored for a bit. You might be surprised by the thoughts and ideas that come up when your mind has a chance to relax. We've already talked about how overstimulation can mess with your sleep, so it's important to take steps to protect your rest. This means creating a bedtime routine that helps you wind down, like dimming the lights, putting away your devices, and doing something calming, like reading or listening to soft music. Getting enough quality sleep is crucial for your overall well-being. When you're well rested, your brain is better equipped to handle the challenges of the day, including the barrage of stimuli that come your way. Finally, try to break the habit of multitasking. Instead of juggling multiple tasks at once, focus on doing one thing at a time. This helps reduce the mental strain of constantly switching between tasks and allows you to give your full attention to whatever you're doing. Whether you're studying, hanging out with friends, or just watching a movie, try to be fully present. This not only helps reduce overstimulation, but it also makes your experiences richer and more enjoyable. So, there you have it, the lowdown on overstimulation and how it's quietly affecting your life. But the good news is, you can fight back. By setting boundaries, practicing mindfulness, and giving your brain the breaks it needs, you can reduce the effects of overstimulation and take back control of your mind. Remember, it's not about completely cutting out technology or entertainment. That's not realistic. It's about finding a balance that works for you, so you can enjoy the benefits of the digital world without letting it overwhelm you. I hope this video gave you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to make a few changes in your daily routine. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.